morning, dear yogis. I hope this new lockdown finds you in a safe and peaceful place. I hope you're using this time wisely to address your own needs, to see how things need to be implemented for yourself, and to perhaps be mindful of how we respect these rules and these authorities, as that's important for our community that we do work together. So since Christmas, my own physical practice seems to have gone a little bit out the window, so I thought it best if we get back on the mat and see what the body, if it's got a bit stodgy, all these extras that we eat over Christmas. So looks like a pair of horns. My clock behind me. Oh, that's hilarious. So I will continue through this number 2 full lockdown with the videos to get us on a mat, because it does me as much good as it does, as I hope it does you guys out there. Who knows when we will be returning, but if we can just keep plodding along, even if you don't use my videos, but just find the space on your own mat, and just to come back to yourself is very important, to see how you're feeling and where you're up to in the physical, the mental and emotional state, and that leads you into your spiritual essence as well. So allowing yourself this time, it's an excellent window, unless you're still a key worker, obviously then you'll still be pretty much carrying on your life as per normal. But those of you who are home-based, who are at home more, don't feel isolated. There are so many outlets that on the virtual, on the web, on the social media, that can keep you connected, and don't feel that you are isolated, that you have been shut away. Use this time as retreat, especially since it's winter as well. Use this time as your retreat time, your hibernation time. I love it. I love to sort of shut the door and forget the world for a few months. So this actually sort of ticks my boxes quite nicely. However, I tend to get too stodgy and I don't move my body as much. So I must be this sort of great big bear. So I'm going to get you on the mat and we're going to see where we need to go. My back was pulling a little bit yesterday, so I might need to do a little bit of freeing up in my hip area, my neck as well. My usual, same olds. So let's take it on the mat for a moment. So finding seated, standing, or even lying, just to come into yourself, to ground, center and focus. It's very important that we don't just jump on the mat and start moving around. If your mind is distracted with your household chores or your work or your loved ones, if you're worrying about what's happening out in the world, we're then distracted. We don't then focus on ourselves enough. So do take a moment, and this is so important, to notice the breath. Tip of the nose all the way down to the belly. Notice the quality of the breath, and just take yourself a few mind centering, physical centering, emotional centering breaths to bring you back into wherever you need to be, for you to notice where you're up to. And if you have felt this latest lockdown has contracted you and put you into fear base, let's try and release these deep contractions in the mental, physical and emotional bodies, and try and free those up a little bit. I've noticed my body's felt a little bit tight as well, so even though I quite enjoy this home-based time, there are obviously factors that irritate or restrict me as well. So find that breath, see the quality of the breath, allow that breath to just come down into how you're feeling. Notice how deep that belly breath is. Is it a little shallow, or can we take it a little deeper? Don't force it, just allow it to be a natural rhythm, and just see where you're up to with the breath. Allowing the breath to be your guide, to allow you to release perhaps any contractions, any restrictions in your own physicality with the exhale. And the exhale is going to take you into a more relaxed, calmer state. So if you do feel particularly stressed, lengthen and focus on your exhale. Allow that exhale to be your physical guide. The inhale is going to energize you, so if you need more energy, you can focus on the inhale. So allowing this just to either be balanced or adjust it, manipulate it as you need it. So if you need more energy, the inhale, that will be your focus. If you need to relax more, de-stress, focus on the exhale. And just see if we can bring this inhale, exhale into a bit more of an equal playing field, a bit more level for you. And that will be an indication to you where you're up to in your breathing. Hello, kitty. And the dog as well. Well, I did say I like this hibernation, but I don't get a lot of peace to myself. not human interruptions, although hubby did pop in as well. Oh, I love it. So just allowing. Notice how you're sitting or lying or standing, whichever it is that you bring yourself into your center. You can close your eyes, lower your gaze. You can feed these external distractions, or you can just allow them to come and go. My animals are now, they've gone away again because I didn't give them much attention. So that's up to you. If you feed something with your attention, then it's going to become more and more focused in your life, in your world. And as you just bring yourself back into your center, things will start to fall away naturally. You'll start to feel a little bit more calmer perhaps, a little bit more energized, whatever it is you're needing today. Okay, kitty needs some attention. And so let's just bring this now into a little bit. I'm going to just mobilize up into the neck and shoulders. So let's take a deep inhale, arms overhead, and don't forget you can spend as long as you need to in each phase. If you're still centering the mind and focusing, you can still take it with your breath. It's absolutely fine. I'm just going to move this into some lateral windmills, side to side windmills, just to see. And I can feel instantly very contracted down the sides of my body, down in when my back is sore, because that's then pulling into my low back. This cat is persistent today. Oh, gotta love our animals. I'm going to just take this into some stillness, let this soften, and I can just feel my neck is gripping and pushing my chin. So allow that to soften off a little bit. I don't need to push this support shoulder. Let's soften that down a little bit too. Just allow this to be mindful with the breath. I'm very distracted by the cat. Oh dear. And changing sides. I can also feel this up in my deltoids, at the top of my shoulders. I'm feeling a little bit restricted too. If you need more movement, take it side to side again. Avoiding any objects in the way. And just letting this breathe on this side. Oh, I can feel this really tight on my left side. So noticing again, is the neck, is the shoulder pushing too much? I need to just relax that back. I'm reaching it too far out. Just letting this soften out. Letting it breathe. Letting it find its neutral space again. So often when we misalign the body through our own activities, through the contraction of our fear. Ow, he's biting me now. It's alright, he licked me. He said sorry. And then bringing that back up. Let's just do some shoulder rolls. Just a few little circles, forwards and backwards. Notice how that feels. Lift and drop, shrug movements, just releasing out that tension in the shoulders. And neck releases. And just rolling the chin, follow the line of the collarbones, just to wake up the neck, the trapezius, big muscle which supports all through. A little bit of yes and no, so side to side, up and down. Oh yes, I need to just keep mine lifted. I've obviously been tucking my chin in a bit tight, so I feel very short down the front of my neck. So I'm just going to allow that to lengthen out a little bit, soften. Move that in any plane. Just to notice how that's feeling. It's better. And then just little side to side. So as we drop the ear towards the shoulder, just allowing that to free up down the sides. The traps run from the neck, from behind the ear, all the way down, and then down the back. So the edge of the trap runs over the top of the shoulder. It's also the gallbladder meridian which runs down there, so things that are getting on your gall, things that are irritating you, might be contracting, you might be tensing the shoulders up in your everyday activities. Oh, lovely. A little bit tight. This arm can extend out if it needs to. That's really tight for me. Just to release that off. Changing sides. Just allow that. This side's not as tight for me. Just allowing that a little bit of equal. I can just feel now hip flexors are beginning to tighten up. So bring it into cosmic egg. Hug, hug, hug. Give yourself a big hug. And just reassure yourself that everything is going to be okay. If you are feeling a little bit unsure, current affairs, I just need to move away from my furniture a little bit. Just rock it around side to side. I'm going to face forwards because my furniture is too big. My new daughter-in-law says I have too much furniture, which yes I do. And we fill our home. Just windscreen wiper. Notice how that feels for yourself. So getting into the hips, opening up the hips a little bit. Mine feel very, very sticky tight. So I'm going to bring this into a mermaid. So flip one leg behind you, one across in front, and just take some circles. And this is, so I'm just moving back onto my mat. You tend to walk forward when you do the windscreen wiper knees. Just taking this into little circular movements around the other side. And I'm going to take this into a lateral stretch as well. So this is going to now change how the stretch occurs. This feels quite good actually. This one feels really a bit freer for me. That can be into a static stretch again. If you want to notice where the push-pull is, this shoulder is really tight, really contracting up. And then changing sides. And often less is more. Sometimes, and I know in my own head, I think, oh, I've got to get on my mat and I've got to do all this fitness work, I've got to get strong or flexible. And actually, it's just stripping it back a little bit and being a little bit slower, more mindful into the movement. I'm just going to drop that arm onto the front knee and drop the shoulder towards the knee. And this is going to take you into your low back region, so down here in your QL. And just find that little stretch over the back or down the back here. You'll find your obliques as well. Have a little bit of a stretch out too, or release. Just find a breath, allow that to breathe. Ooh, lovely. This is really tight in my back. And just either windmill that side to side again, just to free it up. Always release out once you've had a stretch, get the energy moving, and bring it across to the other knee. So just stretching that down towards the other knee. So holding into the knee or the floor, and then drop the shoulder down. Gosh, this one's really tight this side for me. Just adding that little bit of breath. Noticing how that is feel. Where are you pushing and pulling? Where can we soften off this back shoulder of mine? A little bit forceful. Check this hip hasn't followed too much. It tends to want to come off the floor, so make sure that hip is still grounded. Sit bones still down on the floor. And as we soften into that posture, the muscles stop gripping. And then just bring that back into your windmills. I'll work down into my hip area. Good old Netflix I've been. Yeah, into some circles. So just find a little bit of circling into these hips. Lovely. And that just wakes up a little bit. Just bring this into a forward fold. So bringing this down now to the floor. Obviously just find your own place of comfort. Don't force it, and be very cautious of this knee in the oblique position. Just make sure you can always use a block here to rest your head. I think I might still have a block under here. So you can rest your head on a block. This allows the head just time to release off. That feels very nice. Just rolling across the forehead. And if you want to go a little deeper, just flip the block down a notch. Adjust as you need to. And if you want to go a little deeper, block goes a little lower. Head can roll or be still. Find the breath. And if you want to go even lower, the block can be removed. And then slowly bring that back up. And don't worry, if you stay at whichever level you need to, that's absolutely fine. Let's go into some circles again. So notice which hip. You've got an open hip and a closed hip, so internal, external. So that's an external rotation, this is your internal rotation. So noticing which hip was particularly restricted in those movements, these circular movements. Feels very nice. Let's just undo the legs, give them a little bit of a flippy flop, little windscreen wipers into the feet. Allow that to wake up a little bit. Bend up the knees, do your windscreen wiper knees again, just to wake everything up again, and allowing this just a little bit of time to free up anything that feels sticky and stodgy. And then we'll do the mermaid on the other side. So opposite leg comes forward, other leg comes back. If you can, try and sit on top of your foot rather than flexing it. But please be careful of your knees. If you need to flex that foot out, then flex the foot out. It's fine, I'll protect the knee off for you. A bit like a hurdler's stretch rather than a yogi stretch. Just come into those circles. This is a lot tighter this side for me. A lot tighter. You can always sit on the block as well if you want to just sit to protect the knee. You can bring yourself up and take that into a slightly higher position so that your hero, your half hero, isn't pulling on the knees. So please be careful of your knees. Always, always protect your joints. We don't want to make anything worse. And be aware, this is really tight in the top of my hip flexor here, very tight. Little windmills, side to side. And this one might feel different on this side, it probably will. Again, can go into a static stretch. Notice where the pushing and the pulling is occurring. Both sit bones ideally into the floor. Notice if you're pushing one shoulder or dropping one shoulder back so that you're adding a twist. We don't want to twist, we want to just stretch to the side of the body. And then changing sides. Might not go as far this side because of the angles we're in. Again, notice where the push and pull is happening. Widen that off if it's a bit tight, so you don't have to have a narrow hero. Actually, my quads need a little bit of a release. This one is very tight. And then we're going to bring it over to the opposite knee. I can feel this is really restricted on this side. So holding into the foot, if you need to use the block, you can use a block instead, just to give you a little bit of height if you can't quite reach. Hand can go to the floor if you want to. Mine doesn't reach the floor this side, it's a lot tighter. And then just allow this, it's adding a twist, so we're adding that rotation through the waist. And if we can bring the shoulder towards the knee, this is a lot more restricted this side for me. So I'm just going to soften off and start gripping in my thighs, in my glutes. Just allow this to soften off. Still gripping a little bit in here. I'm just going to help it off a little bit. And just bring that into those windmills again, just to free that off a little bit. Very tight for me. And then we'll do the other side. So just bringing that hand to the outside knee. Allow that shoulder then to drop towards the knee. Just finding that little twist, stretch. You'll feel it down the low back here. Just letting that breathe, not as tight this side for me. And then very slowly bring that back up. Windmills again. I just feel I need to revisit my tight side. So I'm going to take it into this side again. And just allow that now to open up a little deeper. Because I've done the opposite side, it's a little bit more accessible to come down a little deeper. It doesn't feel quite as congested now. It's a short visit. Again, the little windmills, side to side. Then we're going to bring that forward into forward fold, so just bringing that forward down. Again, take the block if you need it. Bring that onto, that's a little tight for me, into my right hip. So just letting that breathe, whatever it needs to do. Adjust your position, so notice. Try and keep the weight equal between both sit bones as well. So if you've shifted off one sit bone, just see if we can let that come back into equal weight. If you need to turn it, I don't think I'm going to go any lower than that on this side. Let the breath be the guide. Feel the breath. You might want to flip it again. Just notice, be aware. And if you can, don't worry if you can't, take it down a little lower. It's a little bit, I need to put my hands under there. This one is just a little bit more height. And then slowly bring that all the way back up. Ooh, notice how that is feeling. It's still a little gripping on this side. And then we'll just do some windscreen wiper knees again. So just bring that into, undo the legs first. It's a little bit tight on this side for me. Ooh, very tight. Windscreen wiper, just flip it out a little bit. Just get this moving again. So we do want to be able to move still. Just windscreen wiper, side to side a little bit. So this internal rotation on my right hip, a little restricted today. Just notice if that feels a little freer. And then we're just going to take that into a hero pose. If you need to do any release rolls, if you want to hug, actually I'll give it a hug first. Give that a little bit of a hug, and then you can roll it forward and back as well if you want to, just to get those energies moving down the back of the body. And the clunks going on in my back. And then you can sit on a block if you need to, or cushion. We're going to bring one leg behind you and one leg forward. So we're going to take this into the, oh, it's a long word. The obliques, it's a half hero forward fold basically. Triangle Mukha Piti Paschimottanasana if you want to know. It's a really long one. This feels a little bit sticky tight, so I'm just going to move this around a little bit just to allow access into my hamstrings. So a little bit of forward and back, in and out of the posture is going to allow the contraction and releasing of that muscle, hamstring muscle. Just bring this forward and back. And then let's take a deep inhale at the top, side to side. Just open up all of the muscles which attach down into the hips. And then, so I'm a little bit restricted of space today. I need more space. I need my own studio. And then just bring this into a forward fold. Just allow, and again, use your block if you need to. So you can bring your block just to rest your forehead down, or you can just stay up here. It really does not matter where you're up to with your stretches. Just allow this, it's a bit of respect, please. Don't force it. Whenever you're in quite a compromising position, the knee here needs to have some respect. And just start to bring that forward fold when you feel ready. So if you are able to, you bring it down a little deeper. I quite like resting my head because I'm a chin pusher. It stops me trying to put my head to the floor, and it allows a little bit more focus then around the hips, the back, the pelvis. What's going on for me? A little bit tight. Ooh. A little bit restricted, my right leg. So that's me moving forward. How am I moving forward, walking forward? Probably not at the moment. Not a lot's happening. And just allow this time to breathe. Always allow this adjustment time. When we do things quickly, we don't really notice. We don't really allow that pushing and pulling to stop. Oh, it feels lovely, especially with the support. Bit of a headache today. Too much chocolate going on. Just allow that time. It's always time, especially at the moment. And then slowly bring that all the way back up. Ooh. If you need to do a little bit of windmills, I'm going to release this oblique leg forward, but stand on the foot and hug the knee into the waist, into the body, and just take a little look behind you. So I've got my left leg up, hugging with my right arm, looking over my left shoulder. Doesn't matter if you're doing the opposite one, just remember which way you've gone. And then just allow that to breathe. If you want to go a little deeper, we start to bring the elbow outside the knee. You can move the foot further away, or you can have it close up. But try not to lean too far back. We want to try and be as upright as we can and on both sit bones. Half the Lord of the Fishes. Ooh. And moving the breastbone. We want to try and get the breastbone to move around.
but not the hips. If the hips are moving, just keep those grounded through the sit bones. And allow that to breathe. You can also hold your foot too if that's available. And then just open that into a counter pose. So we just do the little open twist, just bring that all the way back, open the other way, back onto the breath. Counter pose a little bit shorter. Straighten off that leg, just give it a little flippy, so you'll notice the energy feels a bit different on both legs. You've got a lot of stuff going on the top of the thighs, into a forward fold, and you can soften off your knees here. Please don't feel you've got to do it into a straight leg position to start with. Try and move your sit bones back behind you, so you're not sitting up and back. You want to be moving your whole pelvis forward so that you're allowing the pelvis to free up, which will then get into your hamstrings. I can feel mine. Again, you can use the block. You can rest it onto your thighs or your shins. If you're long in the body, you might need it down on the shins. And just allow that to breathe. This feels really nice. Hands can rest wherever. You don't need to try and extend too far away. Let it soften. Let it soften. Let the breath guide you again if you need to. Once the hamstrings start to ease off, you can adjust the block or adjust your position. But be careful you're not trying to get your head to your knees. Your head is reaching towards your feet. So we want length. We don't want to shorten the front of the body too much. Feels very nice. And if you want to, you can adjust that down. My body is quite responsive, quite quick, but don't force your body, please. Make sure it's at your own time, your own space. Ooh, that's a little deep. So again, that's a little deep for me. You can use your hands just to lift it off a little bit. And then slowly turn it back up. Very nice. The legs a little bit of a wibble wobble. A little bit of a hug, just to counterpose the hamstrings. Give yourself a hug. Oh, lovely. A release roll too, if you like the movement rather than the stillness. Just take that into the release roll. Or the hug. And then we'll do the other side. So now we're going to bring the opposite leg, it's my right leg, it's going to come into the oblique position. I find this side a little stiffer, so I've got to be a bit more cautious. This side doesn't like doing it quite as easily. So a little bit of movement around. That can go lateral, side to side windmills. I feel that on my left side now. And just finding that breath, always find the breath. If that needs just a little bit of easing out first. And then in and out. So we want to try and ease this. We don't want to just go into it and force. So a little bit of forward and back, a little bit of in and out. And again, make sure your sit bones are coming out behind you. Get your block. If you need your block today, absolutely fine. You can sit on it. You don't need to use it for your head. You can sit on it and just allow that into your forward fold. If you need to come in and out more, please come in and out more. Just be aware, this is very grippy for me today. I need to do a little bit more or less on my right leg. Find the breath, get into the breath. And again, we're trying to move our head towards the foot, not to the knee. Just notice where the gripping is happening, just release it off. And if you can, flip the block. Ooh, no, can't go that low on this side. And then slowly bring that up. A little bit of side to side movement, so if you need to just free that up, or the little circles are great just to massage in. And then just bring that leg forward, stand on the foot, hug that knee in, just take it into a little twist position, so hug the opposite arm into the knee. Lift the breastbone up and try and move the breastbone back. Keep the sit bones down, so often the pelvis wants to move rather than you twisting through your waist. And again, you can deepen that after a few breaths, but get into the twist first. Notice where you need to let go. And find the breath. Try and come upright a little bit more. I can feel myself just dropping back a little bit. And then slowly counterpose, so we're going to bring that open twist. Again, keep the sit bones down, move through the upper body into just a little bit of breath, counterpose. And then bring that back round, just straighten off the legs, give that a little flippy flop into your forward fold. So again, bend up the knees if you need to, find this length through. So we want to try and lengthen from the pubic bone to the breastbone, and then you can start to slide your feet away a little bit. Use the block if you need to, just to aid. So I'm very good at pushing through my chin, so just allow that a little bit of length, a little bit of softness. We don't need to force anything. Soften off the chin. I tend to pull my chin down. If that can adjust it as you need to. And find the breath. Always come back to the breath. The breath will tell you if you can't breathe, if it's gotten a bit restricted. Back it off a little bit. And if you can flip that again, go for that. And if you can remove it, remove the block also. And slowly bring it all the way up. Flip out the legs a little bit, bend up the knees, this will contract into the hamstrings. Hug the body. Release, roll, if you like that movement. And just notice how that feels, if that's gotten a little bit looser. Mine certainly has. And then we will do the opposite, we'll take the leg out. So Janu Shirshanasana. Again, you can sit on a block, so let the knee drop open this time. Again, you can use your block, you can come in and out of this. We can find a little bit of movement first if you need to, or you can just start to come. If you need those lateral stretches, these are going to show you what's happening all around the low belly, trunk, pelvic area. A little bit of side to side. Ooh. And that again can be stillness or moving, whatever you need to. In and out. So coming forward and back. My block ready. And then start to, you want to try and flex this foot so it's not escaping underneath the thigh, because you want the thigh to be pretty parallel with you. So it's not opening wide, it is in front of you. And then start to move that down. So if you want to come into the block, just to help. I'm liking the block today. It's giving me a little bit of support that I perhaps need. Into the breath. It's allowing me to stop clenching my jaw, to stop pushing my chin. And obviously you stay at the limit, the level you need to. Always find the breath. And if you can, you remove the block. Need to bring that leg over a little bit. My block was in the way. And then slowly bring that all the way back up. A little bit of twisting. Ooh, lovely. A little bit of side to side. And just bring that leg back up. Drop it down. Give it a little flippy flop. Circle out the feet a little bit, so give those a little flip. A short visit into the forward fold. Just a couple of breaths there, and then we'll do the other side. So this time my left leg's going to come up and drop open. Right leg in front of me, using a block if you need to. And a bit of in and out, lateral stretches. Just find that little bit of movement that you need to. A little bit of twisting. Actually done a twist on the other side. Like the twisting, and then in and out. So let's go in and out of this movement. Just find that little bit of freedom first. Don't force it. Check that the foot is flexed. It's a bit like a seated tree. And then come into your forward fold. Just allow that a little bit of breath. Noticing how the body is responding. So where is the restriction? And flip if you need to. And obviously take it at your own pace, your own level. And if you can, remove the block. Don't worry if you can't. And slowly, slowly bring that back up. A little bit of lateral. Ooh, that felt good. A little bit of twisting. And just straighten up that leg, bring it down, give it a little flippy. One more forward fold. Doesn't need to be long. Just to Check that both sides feel quite equal now. And then bring that back up, bend the knees up again. Just open windscreen wipers, so knees need to be quite, or feet quite wide apart to just flip this side to side. And let's just take this into the floor. So just find a little bit of forward and back. Sorry, not into the floor. We're on the floor already. Now, I want to do a little hero position, full hero. If you need to sit on a block or a cushion, please do so. This one's a bit thin for my bottom. And then you bring both legs behind you. Now, hero needs to be entered really cautiously, so please do not force anything. Sitting on a block is absolutely fine. Just finding that position. Just notice if you need to spread the knees a little wider, please spread the knees. But just notice for yourself how that feels. We're going to take it down and back, but you stop at the level you need to. Now, if you're on a block, you're not going to go as far back, so you might just find this is enough, but you need to be able to lift your hips and drop them back down. A really long t-shirt on today. So this might be enough for you, but what you want to try and do is just lengthen off. It's not into a back bend, so don't push the chest up, but just make sure that you're not pinching into your low back. So you want to actually tuck your tailbone under very slightly. I'm very long in the back. I'm actually going to take the block away because I can comfortably take this back a little deeper. So if that's enough for you, you please stay there. Other than that, we take it down onto the elbows. Again, make sure you can just lift the hips off, give them a little wiggle, a slight tail tuck. So this is not a back bend. We're not taking this into a back bend. And this might be enough for you to stay here. If that's so, you stay here. For me, I need to just pull my breastbone down a little bit because I am the good old back bender. So I need to pull my breastbone. If, however, you can go a little deeper, you drop it onto your back. But again, make sure you're not doing the back bend. So I need to pull my breastbone down. Make sure I'm not arching my low back too much and pinching my low back. If that's enough for you, you stay here a little bit breath. Otherwise, you can take the arms overhead. But be careful that doesn't become that back bend. So I've got to be a bit cautious. I'm going to keep my hands on my rib cage. So I'm pulling very gently down into my... into my upper back. So I'm pushing my ribs constantly. I don't want to push them, to relax them down. If at any point this becomes uncomfortable, we don't need to spend a long time here. Your knees can spread open a little bit tense for me. I can feel this tightening up because I'm a bit tight in my low back, my pelvis here. For me, I've got to keep pulling down that breastbone, so that I'm not in a back bend. As soon as I see a relax, I drop my whole upper back into a back bend. Just need to let this soften off. Finding the breath. Now, of course, you can do a back bend, but it's quite a severe back bend, this one, so I'm not going to take it. Kapatasana. I'm just going to allow this to stay neutral. Let all this soften. The hip flexors soften. And then very gently push up onto the elbows. Just let that adjust so that we're not coming up too quickly. Onto the hands. Very gently push that back up. Up onto the sit bones. Just lift and give it a little wiggle. Sit it back down. And then very slowly swing one leg forward, the other leg forward. Give it some windscreen wipers. Make sure your knees are okay and your hips. Lovely. Feels a lot better. Freed up a lot of congestion for me. And then just rolling onto your back. Come down. Just take it up and drop it into a couple of floppy bridges, and then we're going to take it into a bridge position. So we're going to open up the front of the thighs because a lot of it's, for me, it's a lot of flexion into the hip flexors here. So very gently pushing into your bridge. Now I'm actually going to do a restorative one here. I'm going to take the bricks. I don't know how many I've got. So if you've got some bricks with you around, no, I've only got one. Just use the bricks underneath your back. I'm going to turn mine up because I have only got one with me. And just allow, oh, it's really nice. If you haven't got the blocks, use a cushion and books so that you prop your back up. And just allow this to soften all around the pelvis. I want this to really free up. So if your glutes are gripping, let those go. Let them soften off. For me, I need to just pull that breastbone down. So I'm a little bit back bendy, but I don't particularly want a back bend. I want an incline so I can soften off all this area. So be careful of the back bend. Those of you who, like me, push the ribs out too far. Just let this soften. If that's quite comfy for you, you can start to extend one or both legs. Just try it with one leg. I'm a bit precarious because I'm only on one block here. So this sits on the flat part of your back. So we don't want to be precarious and topple off. Just allow, if you can, both legs to extend. Other than that, you can do one at a time. It's absolutely fine. Quite nice to do one at a time. Just gives you a little bit of asymmetry. Or you can have the legs bent. If your legs are bent, try and drop the knees towards each other so that they're not flaying open, which will change the back of the pelvis a little bit. Arms can extend over, but be careful of that push into the rib cage again. So be careful that you're not over pushing and flaring the ribs. Try and keep that in a long space. I'm toppling a bit here. And just allow this incline to open up front of the body. And it's the psoas, the hip flexors, which get a little tight for us sometimes, so just softening those off. If you feel this is a little back bendy, just release the arms back down so it's not quite as deep. It is obviously a back bend, but we don't want to be overarching. I want to try and concentrate on opening up the front of the hip flexors here, down the front of the thighs, into the low belly. And freeing up the low back, so if that's gotten a little tight. I'm just going to cross my ankles so that my legs aren't flaying open. I want my pelvis to be neutral. And you can change the cross in the ankle so that it's equal sides. And then just bringing that back up, so very gently release the block. You can spend much longer if you want to. I'm going to flip it on its short side so that it's a bit flatter. That feels nice. Just to adjust so that the pelvis acclimatizes. Might feel a little strange. And then I'm going to take the block out and place it down on the floor. Just do some windscreen wipers, just get the knees to move around a little bit. And a couple of little bottom drops. Oh, it feels so much better. And then very gently lift up. Just notice how that feels, perhaps from the first time. And slowly let it drop down. Windscreen wiper, whatever your body needs. Need a little twist position. Let it go into a twist. This is quite nice to have the knees away from you so you feel this front of the body here. This is opening the front. I'm just going to just release and obviously change sides. Always do both sides. Underneath my furniture. take it into your Shavasana. So if you need to do anything else with the body, please do so. Otherwise, straighten up the legs. Allow a little bit of release if your neck and shoulders are a little tight. It's been quite a static stretch today, so if you need to move the body around a little bit, just let it go. And just come into the breath. I'm just going to sit back up for you, take you through your relaxation. Just allow yourself now time to relax the body onto the floor. I want you to just be aware of how the body feels, the energies that we've released and moved. Notice them. Notice how it feels when we then have that energy moving around our body. And just take some mindful breaths. Bring it back to yourself again. Mindful breathing. Allow yourself as long as you need to in your relaxation. You can spend 5, 10, even 20 minutes if you need to allow yourself to drop really into your body, to really notice, find that breathing space. Time to do nothing, to be again. Notice where the body is perhaps still gripping, pushing or pulling, holding on. You don't need to hold anything. When we're in relaxation, the floor is supporting you, so give yourself permission to let go. And you follow the breath. Take the breath where you need to. So if there is constriction in your body, contraction in your body, take the breath to that area of the body. Breathe into that space. Sometimes it's quite nice to hold the hand into that space. And just allow the breath to release and let go of the contraction, the gripping, the holding. And when you've done a few mindful breaths, just let the body relax. Let the breath become neutral. Surrender the mind, surrender the physical body, surrender the emotions. Just letting go, learning to let go. And this might help you then in other areas of your life to let go of things that no longer serve you, that aren't useful to you anymore. We learn to let go. We free ourselves up, give ourselves space for new things, new projects, new ideas, new thoughts. And please spend as long as you need to. You can bring yourself back in your own time, or if you want to come back with me, just focus on your breath. Allow a few bits of wiggles and movements into the fingers and the toes, the neck and the shoulders. Just hug the knees in if you need to. And bring yourself back to a seated position when you're ready. And I wish you all well. Take your peace, yourself into your day, whatever that day is presenting for you. And thank you for joining me today. It's been a bit of a lengthy one, but enjoy whatever it is you're doing. Be present, stay in your present time. And thank you for joining me. Bye for now.